You know that feeling, right? You build a component, it looks perfect, and then it just shatters the second you move it. Well, what if I told you the secret to truly flexible, reusable components isn't some new complex JavaScript framework? What if it's been hiding in your HTML this whole time? I mean, we've all been there. You craft this beautiful card component. It's pixel perfect in the main content area. But the moment you drop it into a sidebar, poof, it all falls apart. Why is this so incredibly difficult? Well, it really comes down to a huge shift in how we think. For decades, our components have been viewport aware. They're always asking one question: how big is the entire browser window? And honestly, that makes them super brittle. The modern way is to make them container aware. Now they ask, how big is the box I'm actually inside? And that changes everything. So how do we start building these smarter, container-aware components? Well, we need a solid foundation. And that foundation, it doesn't start in your CSS file. It starts way earlier, with the meaning you build into your HTML markup. This is the core idea right here. Semantic HTML isn't about using a tag to make something look a certain way. It's about using a tag to tell the browser what something is. You're not just styling text, you're embedding actual meaning right into the structure of the page. Now, we all know the classic reasons why this is a good idea, right? It's great for accessibility, search engines love it, but here's the part that's often missed, the secret we're talking about today. That meaningful structure is the key that unlocks the most powerful features in modern CSS. And here's where we need a little shift in our thinking. It's not just about using the right tag for the right thing. It's about using those tags to create meaningful groups of content. These groups, these are the containers our CSS is going to learn to listen to. Think about it. An article tag is so much more than a generic div. It draws a boundary around a complete, self-contained idea, like a card. A nav groups all your navigation links. Each of these tags creates a logical unit that can stand on its own, which is exactly what we need. Okay, so we've got our meaningful blocks, our semantic containers. Awesome. Now what? How do we arrange them on the page without creating a mess? Well, let's talk about the frame we put them in. CSS grid. Seriously, forget floats, forget clears, forget all those old painful hacks. CSS grid was designed from the ground up to solve layout problems. It's a true two-dimensional system, meaning it handles both rows and columns at the same time. It's powerful. The whole concept is actually pretty simple. You have a grid container, which is the parent element that becomes your layout frame, and then you have grid items, which are its direct children. And what are those children? They're the semantic blocks, the articles, and figures that we just created. And this is where that good HTML really starts to pay off. You don't need to wrap everything in endless, meaningless div tags just for layout anymore. You've already built the meaningful containers. All you do is tell the parent element to be a grid, and it just works. All right, we've laid the foundation with semantic HTML. We've built the frame with CSS grid. Now, it's time for the payoff. This is the revolution that all that good structure makes possible. This right here is the absolute game changer. Container queries finally free our components from the tyranny of the viewport. A component can now be truly self-sufficient, adapting its own styles based on the space it's given. It's incredible. I know, it totally feels like magic, but I promise you it's actually beautifully simple and logical. So let's break it down. How do you actually do it? It's basically a two-step dance. First, on a parent element, you declare it as a container. You just say container type, inline size. We usually use inline size because we mostly care about width. Second, you write a query. It looks almost identical to a media query, but instead of @media, you just write @container. That's it. And here it is, the aha moment. Where do you put that container type property? You put it right on the article or section you already made. Your semantic HTML is the container that your CSS query is listening to. That's the whole connection. But it doesn't even stop there. This whole new way of thinking, of letting your HTML structure be the foundation for your CSS, it unlocks even more superpowers. Any developer who's been writing CSS for a while has dreamed of a parent selector. It was the holy grail for years. Well, it's here. It's called the has-at selector, and it lets you style an element based on what's inside it. It's like giving your components eyes to see their own content. Okay, here's a classic problem we've all hacked our way around. You have a card component. Sometimes it has an image, sometimes it doesn't. How do you, Say, remove the padding from the card, but only when that image is present. Check out how beautifully simple that is. No JavaScript, no extra classes. It reads just like plain English. Style a card that has an image inside it. And why does this work so elegantly? Because your HTML has a clear, predictable structure. Your structure is your superpower. So when we pull it all together, what's the big secret to modern, powerful, flexible CSS? Well, as you've probably figured out by now, it's not really a secret at all. Your semantic HTML isn't just a nice-to-have for SEO or accessibility anymore. You have to think of it as the architectural blueprint for your entire component. A weak, confusing blueprint leads to a weak, brittle building. But a strong blueprint, that lets you build incredible things. When you start with meaning and structure first, you're not just writing cleaner code, you're building a rock-solid foundation for a more resilient, more flexible, and more modern web. You're future-proofing your work. So the real question is, now that you have the blueprint, what are you going to build?